Hi, I'm host Eric. I'm here with Person Unify, and in the chat we got Person Zaczacattack, someone waiting for name, and I want to talk about motivation because it's an issue that I think is linked into a lot of other things that people don't really reflect upon it being linked into. Namely, that if you're motivated to do something, there's an element of belief necessarily that's part of that, and an expectation of success or an expectation of progression towards success that is required before one can be motivated to do something. Nobody's motivated to do an action that they know for certain is going to fail. However, there's also, I think, multiple ways to define a given action such that the outcome of it has utility regardless of if your behavior produces the exact goal you anticipate.
Some people like me, I lack the motivation to do something that even I find beneficial. So if I find it even a bit improbable, I won't even attempt it. I lack the
Right.
motivation that much. I don't know.
Well, I think that we are. I've read in psychology stuff before that people are more likely to be motivated to do something after they've experienced success in doing something. So it's kind of like credit. You know, you've got to have credit to get credit, kind of a thing. But with motivation, it's more along the lines of you have to believe. You have to find something. You have to think of it like a building that you're building that's made entirely up of little miniature buildings. And so you go, I gotta find just one miniature building that I can really believe in and motivate to do. And what I mean by believe in is not just you know intellectually that it's going to be useful or effective, but that you determined yourself, I'm going to commit my passion to this. I'm going to be earnest about it. Because we want to maintain distance all the time and not be earnest about things and say, to enjoy things conditionally, to like things conditionally, and to embrace things conditionally, or to embrace things not at all. It's always cooler to say no than it is to say yes, and it's cooler still probably to say maybe than it is to say yes or no. Or at least it's less vulnerability in it. But there's also less outcome to be had from that.
Yeah, you can't progress from that.
I mean,
go ahead.
I think it's an FE thing in particular that we get trapped by, which is we don't want to be embarrassed, and so we err on the side of caution.
Some take risks more than others, but some people like me want to perfect everything, so you just hold off.
Yeah, you're an INTP.
But you can't perfect everything. You gotta make mistakes, right?
Right. The perfection for you involves doing it and not worrying about that stuff. That's the challenge you got to do. That's a challenge for you to meet. It's
a big hurdle.
How can I figure out it? But see, the key in my mind is there's a narrative you got to construct where you say, let's say you wanted to do something like, I don't know, make a audiobook explaining how to trim hedges. So you've got a hedge trimmer. You've been experimenting with it at home just for fun. And you've decided you've learned a good way to trim the hedges that's efficient. So you're going to make an audiobook about it. And it's going to be about 30 minutes long. It's a fairly short audiobook. And and you really are like, man, this is going to be great. I am enthusiastic about this idea. Well, in that instance, you've got to set up the framing for it, which is set it up to give yourself wiggle room. Set it up to say, in this audiobook, I am executing the doing of it and prioritizing that over the goodness of it. And for me, the completion of it is the outcome I'm seeking.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is marred, bad, flawed, or otherwise reflects upon me badly, it doesn't reflect upon me badly. It reflects upon me well, because my problem is not things that are too imperfect. My problem is a lack of things.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can talk your way out of this exactly. I don't know. I've talked to a couple
I don't think
INTPs about it, and there's all they do is just sort of like either orally, like in this case, by my ears, or visually to me, they convey. You don't understand.
Yeah, I don't.
So I don't know how can I assist INTPs in addressing this? Let me ask you that question, since I obviously don't know the answer to it.
INTP specifically, or people who
I know INTP
struggle
specifically.
with.
This is an INTP problem. You say people who struggle with this shit are usually NTPs. ENTPs or INTPs.
True. You got to come to terms with reality. I mean, not everything can be perfect, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm learning it little by little.
I think that's important too. Maybe is track your progression. Like, I think I've lost your audio, by the way. I don't know. I don't hear you right now. But to track one's progression is to allow one to experience those successful things that promote you to have more motivation in the wake of the success. Well, I have apparently lost Unify, so that's unfortunate. But I do think motivation is an important issue in general. As somebody who has a motivational disorder called attention deficit disorder, which I think is not about attention but rather about motivation, I find it a mystical topic almost to understand why this cool idea doesn't quite grab me enough and that cool idea does to actually motivate me to action is a question that doesn't seem to have any clear answer. I do know that for me, with SE as an unconscious function in the 8th slot, my extroverted sensing, my pull the trigger in the real world function, it's unconscious. It just happens. When I do pull the trigger on something in the real world, it's because it just happens. I don't understand it consciously. I don't abstract about it, how it was that the action was taken. I don't think of it as doing anything except it just happens. My problem is taking too many actions that don't reflect upon the larger time frame. So I might get a Facebook message from somebody late at night or something, and abruptly say, "Oh, let's go get coffee." Well, that might or may not work, depending on what else I got going on. I mean, if I'm expected to do something right in the morning and maybe I don't really have the 2 hours right then to do that, I should go to bed or yada yada yada. I don't necessarily think about that before I throw it out there. In fact, I almost always don't think about that before I throw it out there.
Well,
Hey, Unify, you're back.
yeah, I think it's the government tapping into my laptop. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they do. The NSA, they're always interfering with talking with famous people business. Well,
They
listen
might
up,
have heard
NSA.
our
You're
genetically
outnumbered.
modified grass theory.
Right. Well, they know. They know they're talking with famous people is coming for them. We're gonna
Yeah.
shine the light of transparency upon their wickedness. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, what were we talking about when you dropped?
You asking the wrong person. Even though I was talking about it, I still forgot.
Motivation. Motivation. That's
Yeah,
what we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
Motivation. Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is, whenever we have something in our seventh slot, it it kind of tends to defy fixing. But I will say, I think I've made a lot of progress on my seventh slot FI. I've become more friendly with it. At least have less aggressively adversarial towards it.
Yeah. See, this is the problem. A part of me that's just baffled by. I mean, I don't know what can motivate me. I really don't.
Well, I would point out number one, you're doing something that I think is productive, even though you probably have plenty of good reason to think it's not, which is we're metacogniting about this shit right now. So
True.
I believe in the power of metacognition to impact behaviors. I would say that for something like this, though, where it's an SE is a doing function, it's very difficult to think your way into doing because abstracting is the opposite of doing, basically.
Hmm.
So if I were going to give any practical advice to this, I would say shrink the thing you're thinking about doing down to its minimum amount of size. It's not very daunting to say, all right, self, I have an opportunity here to do a little task. I've got it down to about 5 minute task. So
Yeah.
I want to, just as an experiment, I want to go ahead and do this 5 minute task and then make a note of my mental state after completing the task and make a note of how this fits into a larger sort of assortment of a larger bowl of task oatmeal.
Yeah. Like what kind of oatmeal?
Task oatmeal. It's oatmeal
Just
made. It's a mushy bowl of all kinds of different tasks that one might potentially, in theory, do. Okay,
yeah.
so it's like let's say you get home from
If it's
work.
bland oatmeal, I'm not. I don't want bland oatmeal.
Well, I don't blame you. Nobody likes bland oatmeal.
It got to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, see, right now you're engaged in what I would consider a useful leisure activity, but I would love to see your useful leisure activity have some more formal utility for you, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things that it's about. At any given moment, you're doing something with your time. Whether you're at work, whether you are driving in the car, whether you are taking a poop, or whatever. The
I
thing
like
is,
that.
at any moment, you're doing something with your time. So the key is to think about ways in which the thing you're doing anyway can be linked to something else in a way that gives it more value on one of multiple levels. But the thing is, they will all eventually end up giving you value on all levels if you do the linkage enough. And that's a weird thing to say because some of it's kind of abstract. But you go, well, so here's my sort of overview of my own progress for this stretch of time from these months to this month. This is a time period when I was talking a lot with host Eric on talking with fitness people, and I'm in a lot of those videos up there. Okay, so well, there's what progress have I made in my own metaphysics based on that process, or where does this what can I link this to for myself that will help me to turn my time into multi-use time. So the easiest leap to make would be to say, well, I need to make some sort of content, and then figure out how to utilize because you have here resources, right? You've got people talking to you about shit, random shit. I don't know, about whatever. Yeah, me talking about shit. So it's like these are situations in which.
So it's like a hobby, like thing, whatever, because people talk about that a lot, right? Whatever you love to do or whatever you're good at, try to make money off of it.
Right.
So that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, that's very
I like
much
that.
what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is try to make moments do two things at once in
I
general,
like that.
or more than two things at once. So yeah, and regarding specific things, it's like we just need to. There will be a moment when there's a collaborative project presented, one way or the other, for something. Let's do X. I mean, we're currently collaborating on making these videos, but we might, for example, decide, hey, Unify, why don't we formally collaborate on a scripted video where we talk about something and we'll each write this much of the script or something. I'd be totally down to do that. That kind of suggestion, which I would be making right this second, except I don't know exactly what to write the script about. I want to think about that a little bit more. But
it might take me a few months.
No, see, it won't take you a few months because what will happen is this. I'll say, okay, well, look, here's my part. The first thing, I'll structure it so I'm going to write a few sentences here, and like just a couple paragraphs or whatever. I'll do my little couple paragraphs, and then here's the part that comes after your part. Now you fill in your part right here.
Let's be honest. It'll take a few months to get through it.
Unify, not if you.
It's a struggle.
No, it won't. Not if you just believe. Remember, you have to believe. If you don't believe in yourself or you don't believe in the idea, then you can believe in host Eric. Real Eric, you shouldn't probably believe in. But this wonderful, nice character called host Eric, he's magical like Santa Claus, and he will give you the magic to actually get it done like in one day.
Or the sports coach in the inspirational sports movie. You the coach.
That's right. He's that guy. He's like the Gipper.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's do that. Now I know what I want to do with you first. So let's do that. We'll figure out what topic after we stop this video. And
I'm telling you, it's a reason that I'll always finish last on every assignment in school because I try to perfect it.
Unify, I don't care if I have to sit here and fucking type as you dictate to me.
I'm telling you.
Well, now you made it a challenge for me. I'm going to make sure this collaborative project is completed. It's like you'll all of a sudden you'll stop coming to go to meeting because you're concerned I'm gonna make you do something when you get here. You'll be like, fuck it, I don't want to go to that thing anymore. Now that it's going to be useful in some way. Hell no.
And you know what's ironic? I do tend to devote a lot of my time into learning useless shit.
Right. But not if somebody else tells you to do it.
Yeah.
Not if someone else wants you to learn it. Now, I do want to learn the mechanics of this particular ice machine and how that slot fits into that thing over there. But I don't have an ice machine, don't plan to get one, and have no interest in doing anything with ice machines beyond this. Right? It's like that kind of thing. But it's important if you know that one thing about ice machines now. So
yeah.
That's INTP life in a nutshell. wow, you like parents of teenage INTPs. They might peek their head in their room. They look at the computer and be like, "Wow, he's been hard at work on that homework for so many hours." And it's obviously he's doing homework because look what he's reading. It's so fancy stuff or whatever.
It's like, nope.
And he hasn't spent fucking 1 minute on his homework. He's been reading Wikipedia articles about random shit the whole time.
That's it.
All right. Well, Unify, thank you for demonstrating textbook INTP annoyingness to me, because that's the one thing I don't like about INTPs is like, come on, fucking move.
You are welcome, good sir.
All right, thanks for talking with the people.